Hi, my name's Stu and welcome to another short review Roundup video on Flying Wiener. Today we'll be talking about three things, 2 films and 1 TV show, or rather 1 season of a TV show. The three things we're going to be talking about today is the 2007 film The Mist, which is based on a Stephen King novel. Then we'll be talking about last year's film Emily the Criminal. And the third thing we're going to talk about is the recently concluded 3rd season of The Mandalorian on Disney+. That is the order I'm going to talk about them in. If you want to skip ahead to any of them, although I would ask you to watch the whole video because it's not too long, I try to keep these videos very short. But if you do want to skip forward for whatever reason, you can either use the bar at the bottom of your screen. I'll have the sections there that you can jump ahead to, the chapters, or you can also look in the description because you'll have the timestamps there. If you're watching the whole video, thank you very much for that. It supports the channel and it is much appreciated. So we will be talking about 2007's The Mist first. I watched this film after over years and years and years. I would always see comments pop up on various places on the internet where people said, you know, this is a really good film, you need to watch it. Many people talking about the ending, which is, well, yes, it kind of puts you into despair. But not only that, but many people just saying it's a really good film. So I jumped on the chance when it sort of pop up on Netflix for me, so I had to go and watch it. As I said in the intro, it is based on a Stephen King novella. And the interesting thing with the film in particular is that the ending is actually different to the novella if you've read it, but the whole thing was made with Stephen King's blessing, so even he signed off on it basically. He said, yeah, that's a cool idea, go ahead with it. So it stars Thomas Jane, so this is around the time when he was Punisher as well, so obviously, you know, kind of a bigger name, not so much nowadays. But it was really funny to me, there's so many actors in this that you will recognise, particularly from TV, but also from film, and it's interesting to think because, I mean, 2007 is now 16 years ago, so that's crazy, what a long time. And yeah, and a lot of these people have gone on to do a lot of different things in the meantime, so it's really fun to watch this, which while it came out in cinemas, when you watch it nowadays, it very much feels like a bit of a TV, made-for-TV film. Anyway, what is it about? A group of people, there's this huge storm that happens, and a bunch of people after that are grabbing supplies from their local superstore, market, whatever. And this mist suddenly creeps up on them, it envelops everything, surrounds all the buildings, etc. And there are monsters lurking in these mists. They're sort of eldritch horrors, Lovecraftian type style monsters, so you've got tentacles and all sorts of other things happening here. Yeah, and the whole thing becomes a struggle of what are we going to do, you know, are we going to go out, is somebody going to come save us? And as you can imagine, even just the whole mental state of the group itself deteriorates as it all goes on. You've got religious aspects in there because you've got one zealot in the midst of it all. Probably one of the most annoying characters I've ever seen in film, so definitely done a good job there, because that was the intention, I think. Yeah, so you've got this big struggle going on, and Thomas Jane does a really great job acting-wise here, so I really enjoyed him in the role all the way to the end. Really amazing stuff, so I'm actually quite surprised that he didn't get bigger, you know, as a household name. Anyway, that being said, it is a very worthwhile film. The only real criticism I have of it, but that is probably due to a low budget, but the CGI is really terrible. Even for 2007, I feel it's really terrible. But then again, it's owed to the budget. So the budget wasn't very high. And I saw afterwards they've got a lot of practical stuff in there, so I don't quite get how that was still so bad quality. But anyway, it just doesn't look great. But if you can look past that, there's a really cool story here. Yes, it's kind of depressing, but at the same time, it's also a really cool examination of, you know, how society breaks down in these kind of emergency events, you know, when you're faced with an overbearing power that you do not understand and cannot analyze, you know, what do you do? Really, if it's available to you, definitely check it out. Second thing we're talking about is Emily the Criminal. It's a sort of crime thriller that came out last year. It stars Aubrey Plaza, and the main plot of it is that she is in debt just from her student loans, and she's trying to, you know, she's jobbing, trying to scratch together enough money to finally pay this back. And it's the whole film is an interesting examination of, I suppose many people in the USA will you know, see themselves in this film in particular scenes, etc. Just how difficult it is to just get by if you want to just get an honest and fair wage, because we see some situations where she's applying for jobs, and the craziest scene is where it's supposed to be this internship for this, I think it's some kind of art, is it an artist or some kind of art facility, and they just blatantly expect her to work for free for like 6 months to get a chance to have a job later on. I mean, that's just crazy, and you can see, you believe that these kind of things probably do actually happen, and people are just so desperate to get their foot in the door in places that they will actually do this and be exploited, you know. And so what she does is she kind of drifts off into crime, because she's offered this quick job for credit card fraud where she gets $200, and then it spirals from there, because then the next day she gets a bigger job that will also pay her more, and you know, like I say, the whole thing spirals. So it's a really cool film. It's sort of really just small, so it's not like a huge heist thing that happens here, but it's really cool examination of, you know, people in these situations and how far they're willing to go to battle from their point of view, unfair system. And it's kind of hard to fault them for it, because every time they try to do the honest thing, the good thing, you know, they're just repelled by the system. So really cool, especially if you like Aubrey Plaza. I would highly recommend this film. Yeah, just really interesting thing to watch. Last thing we're talking about is the 3rd season of The Mandalorian. Now, just I haven't talked about the previous 2 on this channel. I don't know, didn't find the time to do so. I generally enjoyed the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian. I'm not a huge Star Wars guy. I do enjoy it generally, but yeah, I mean, like for instance, I came to The Mandalorian not really knowing anything about Mandalorians, you know, so it's like, okay, right, it's like, he's like Boba Fett, isn't he, right? That's all, that was basically my approach to it. But I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons, and Grogu, of course. I mean, I know they want to sell their toys, but, you know, they kind of struck gold with Grogu. He's cute and everything, and you just want them to be safe all the time. So yeah, that's just, I mean, it fits the story, so it's perfect, you know. This 3rd season is a bit hit and miss. It's a bit of a jumbled mess, because they're trying to expand stories, which I generally appreciate, but you know, we kind of lose focus of of our 2 main characters, being Din Djarin. I keep messing up that name. Din Djarin is his name, and Grogu. You know, and it's suddenly about the Mandalorians as and we've got Bo-Katan and her rise, ascension, whatever, as their leader, I suppose. And you know, all these things make sense, but I was thinking, surely these stories, because these are names that have appeared in previous Star Wars media, like animated shows, etc., and series, surely they're big enough of a name that they can just have their own shows without, you know, oh, we have to branch this off from The Mandalorian, you know. It feels a bit silly. I don't know, it's I get that they're all playing it safe, etc., but here we have an example of it actually really muddying the process, because half of the show is that, half of the show is we actually get to see more of the 2 characters we actually fell in love with. So yeah, it's a bit, we'll see what happens. I mean, I think at least by the end of it, it's sort of set up in a way where you say, okay, now if they make a next season, which I suppose they will because it's really popular, they will focus again more on our 2 main characters, and they can branch all the other Mandalorians off in their own show or something like that. I do hope that happens, because I generally enjoy the show, and like I say, and little Grogu, he's just cool. I really like the idea of the character as well. So yeah, I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, you will have watched it. But just in case you were interested in my opinion on the most recent season, I'd say it's mixed. I still enjoy it a lot, look forward to seeing more of it. I just think they need to readjust their focus a bit again. That'll be all from me today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe. It is the best way to support this channel. Leave a comment down below about any of these films and the TV show at the end. You know, did you like them? Did you read the book about the Mist? You know, did you read the book? What about Emily the Criminal? Do you have any similar stories? Because I feel like that's a really cool setting, and if you know any similar films to that, I would really enjoy seeing it. In that sense, it reminded me a bit of the Uncut Diamonds, you know, the Adam Sandler film that came out a few years ago. It's kind of, you know, at least a bit, it reminded me of that. So I like these really character-driven, just very small-scale personal crime stories, I'll call them, if that's how we can, you know, stick a name on this genre, I suppose. That's kind of how. If you have any of those recommendations, please down below. But also about Star Wars, of course, and The Mandalorian. Right now, Andor is still my top show, easily of all the Star Wars shows. I enjoyed The Mandalorian season 1 and 2, but Andor was just so much better. I'll actually leave a link to my Andor review at the end of this video too. I'll thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one on Flying Wiener. Take care.